you have no way of judging the quality of those standards when you've had the people who've been funded by the Gates Foundation, and that includes just about every organization that you will have heard from, including the folks from the Fordham Institute, who I know spoke earlier. But when you hear from Achieve and from Fordham and other organizations that have all been funded by Gates, who wants to promote these standards, you have to wonder whether you are getting objective, independent advice. I'm not funded by anybody. I speak as an academic researcher, and I speak without charge everywhere. I've been testifying to legislative committees in about 20 different states. Nobody gives me any honorarium because I don't take one. So I speak from what I can see, and based on my experience in Massachusetts, where, as everyone knows, we had what is called the education miracle. Massachusetts kids got to hit the top of just about every national test and even on an international test based on the standards and what I did to help strengthen the teacher corps, which is another point I want to get to in another minute.
You made a couple comments about the Gates Foundation. We as a legislature are pretty far removed from that organization. You seem to feel that they are headed in the wrong direction. Do you have any further comments on that to help us understand?
I'm sorry, what is your question?
Well, you've made a couple of comments about the Gates Foundation, which I really know nothing about. Legislators are pretty far removed from that. Is it your understanding then, or your belief that the foundation is going in the wrong direction?
I certainly think so, because it has supported an adoption it supported the development of this set of standards. It gave money to the two trade organizations, NGA and CCSSO, that developed. It then gave money to other groups like the PTA and other groups that would disseminate. It gave money to evaluation groups like Achieve and Fordham. It's given money wherever it can to promote the adoption of these standards. If they were first-class standards, one could still have an argument, by the way. This is a question that people have asked me. Supposing these were first-class standards, would I have objected that much to a big corporation buying the entire public school system in this country? Yes, because I don't believe that that's the way you develop the kind of educational responsiveness and sensitivity you need at the local level. But why Gates is doing it and why they went in the direction they did, only they can answer. I can't psychoanalyze them. But yes, the foundation has more money than anybody else, and they have funded every organization. What they couldn't fund were parents. That's why you're seeing the opposition just in this past year that's been arising all over the country, and I've been speaking to a lot of parent groups. Parents are looking at what their kids are doing in class, and they are getting very upset. Homeschoolers are particularly upset because they see what's going to happen, or they think they know what's going to happen when it's time for their children to apply for college. And there's going to be a Common Core aligned test that they have to take, or they may have to have passed a Common Core readiness test to even get into college. They're safe while their children are young, but that's in the future. So Gates could not get parents to buy in, and they're now exploding everywhere. Nor could Gates get state legislatures to buy in, because there are too many of them, and too many people in them, and an awful lot of states. So suddenly state legislatures, why I've been testifying to so many of them, are being hit with bills for the testing, the technology that has to be bought, because it has to be a certain bandwidth. So you have the bills coming due for state legislatures that never anticipated that their own Board of Education could have approved something that would tie their hands for the future on public education. Nobody even knew about this. When I've spoken in the past year to state legislatures, I always have to begin with, what is Common Core? Their boards of education voted, 45 of them or more, in 2010 to adopt a set of standards that nobody in higher ed in any state had vetted. I've asked them. I've gone state by state whenever I testify. Did you invite any of your engineering, science, math faculty to look at these standards before you voted to adopt them? Not one. Not even in a place like Michigan, which had first-rate universities and faculty practically there next door to the legislature. They never asked their own experts. Take a look. A Board of Ed that for the most part was not qualified to look at math standards, and I'm speaking of Massachusetts as well as almost any other state, they never bothered to look at what they were buying. They bought a pig in a poke.